Hey boys and girls, so today in math we are going to be solving unknown start problems. So basically we're going to be missing some type of information in the equation, okay? Remember, a situation equation shows exactly what's happening, okay? A solution equation shows how we'll get the answer, okay? So basically we're going to have some unknown information, unknown starts, okay? So let's look here. Greta puts some beads on a string. Boys and girls, we don't know how many beads that is. That's an unknown start, okay? So she puts some beads. Then she puts 70 more beads. Okay, so she puts some beads, then she puts 70 more. Now there are 130. Okay, remember our math mountain? You could also do comparison bars if you wanted to. There are different ways you can go about solving these things, but remember, this addend plus this addend equals this total. This total subtracting out this addend is going to give us the answer for our unknown start. Okay, so if she has 130 and she subtracts out the 70, we will get the unknown. Okay, another way you could think of this is that 130 equals 70 plus the unknown start. Okay, all right, so I know for a fact 7 and 7 is 14, so 70 and 70 is 140, which would be too much. 10 too much, right? So the answer is 60. Okay. 6 and 7 is 13. Okay. So 60 and 70 is 130. All right. Now, boys and girls, if you need to write that out and solve it, or you did it a different way, if you didn't use this method, that's fine. Okay. Greta puts some beads on a string. Boys and girls, some beads. It doesn't tell us an amount. They just tell us it's some beads. 70 of the beads fell off. So out of this number, 70 of them fell off. That means we're taking those away. Now 60 are still on the string. How many beads were there to begin with at first? She had beads on a string. 70 of them fell off. If things are falling away, that means we're taking them away, right? And there were 60 left. So we need to know the total. We have our two addends. We need to find the total. And if you're looking right above, boys and girls, we just did a problem very similar to this. 60 and 70 was our 130, okay? So she had some beads on the string. 70 of them fell off, and that left 60. Another way we could write this problem would be to say that 70 plus 60 equals the number of beads to begin with. And we know from up here that that's going to be 130. Okay, that was pretty easy. We didn't really have to do very much math because we had our three numbers for our family up here. Patrick was carrying some booklets. We don't know how many booklets. A booklet, boys and girls, is kind of like your writing response notebook. It's like a journal, okay? Or a notebook. So he was carrying some booklets. His teacher asked him to carry 30 more. So he had some booklets, and his teacher asked him to carry 30 more. Now he has 110. So here's our total. She asked him to carry 30 more. How many books did he start with? Well, we know that 110 is the total. And if we subtract out the 30 that his teacher asked him to carry, that will give us our unknown start. Another way we could write this problem would be to say that the booklets he was carrying plus the 30 that his teacher gave him equals the total of 110. So you can make this equation look different. It just depends on what you want to do. So think to yourself, what 110 taking 30 away is. So I'm going to, actually over here, I want you to think about 30. I want you to break that apart into a 10 and a 20, into some friendlier numbers. So if we have 110 and we subtract out 10, that leaves us with 100. And now we can subtract out our 20 more. 100 take 20 away is 80. So now we have solved his booklets that he was originally carrying. There were 80 of them. I'm going to circle my answer there. If you don't understand that math, you may want to write it out. You may want to draw a place value drawing. Patricia was carrying some pencils. We don't know how many, but she was carrying some pencils. Her friend took 30 of them. That means if you're taking away, that's a subtraction. Patricia has 80 pencils left. So she had a certain number. We don't know. Her friend came over and took 30 of them. That left her with 80. So we don't know what she started with. Think about Math Mountain. Okay? We don't know what she started with. We do know, we do know she started with a certain number. Her friend took 30. That left her with 80. So this is our equation with our variable. Now to solve for that, think about fact families. We would add our two addends to get our total. So we would take 30 and 80 to get our total. Remember, 8 and 3 make a tree. So that's going to be 11 with a 0. 110 is what P is going to be for her total. Okay, I'm just going to circle my answer there. All right, on to the back side. Representing unknown starts. They want you to use the information from these story problems on page 281. You're just now going to be plugging in some information over here, okay? So think about the situation equation. This is going to be number 1. Starting with a certain number, having 70 more. The answer is now 130. What was that? Right here. 60, right? So you would just plug that in right here. And then now here is like writing our fact family. And again, just plugging in the number. Okay? 70 and 60, it was 130. 130. Take away 70 equals 60, and when we add 60 and 70, it was 130. You can do these on your own, boys and girls. This is going to be using information from number 3 and number 4 to help you with these two problems. And then you're going to just be looking at the math tools, your Math Mountain and your situation equation, and telling how they're the same, how they're different. There's lots of different answers you can come up with for that. Okay? All right. On to the next page. Writing another situation and solution equation. Okay. Remember, boys and girls, situation equations show you what's happening in the story. Solution equations show you how to get the answer. Okay? Let's look here. 8 vans, and I always like to write the number, 8 vans with the same number of students in each van took 40 students to the science center. So that's like 8, remember circles and stars? So it's like 8 circles, right? Those are our vans. And it's going to have the same number of stars inside each to come up with a total of 40 students. Okay? So here's the situation. What's happening in the problem? Well, there are 8 vans. We know that. With the same number of students in each van. We don't know the number though, but we know it's 8 groups of, let's say N. There's 8. There's going to be equal numbers probably in each of the 8 vans. And then we know that there's 40 students altogether. Okay? Another way we could say this is that there were 40 kids altogether, and they divided those kids up into 8 vans, and that gives you the number of kids in each van. So I'm going to, I think I'm going to actually draw 8 circles for you. So there's our 8 vans. And I'm not going to do stars, boys and girls, just to save time. I'm going to do the dots. So I'm going to be counting to 40. Okay, I'm going to do one at a time for equal sharing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Oops. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. I need to get all the way to 40. 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, and 40. There we go. Now you should be able to see that there were 5 kids inside each van. Okay? So for our solution, we can say that it was 8 groups of 5 is 40. Or we could have said 40 divided by the 8 vans is 5. And I guess I should probably say students. Oh, remember how we abbreviate students? That's right, capital S, small s. So there's 5 students in each van. All right, boys and girls, on to the next problem. Fiona made some barrettes. Now we don't know how many, that's an unknown start there. She put 9 beads on each barrette. And if she used 63 beads, how many barrettes did she make? Okay, so we don't know how many barrettes there are. That's an unknown. But we do know that each barrette had 9 beads on it. Okay, and then we also know she used 63 beads altogether. So another way we could write this equation would be to take the 63 beads and divide them by 9 beads per barrette, and that'll give us the number of barrettes. Okay, so the way I would solve this problem would probably be to, I think I'm going to do an equal share drawing. I think that's what I'll do. I'll start with 63. 9, 18, 27, 36, 45, 54, 63. So now I'm going to count how many barrettes that is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So now I've solved for my barrettes. It's 7 barrettes. Okay? 7 barrettes. So $63 divided by the 9 is, we said it was B, and B equals 7. There are 7 barrettes. Okay? Does that make sense, hopefully? All right, next problem. The pet store has 81 birds. That sounds like a total to me. There are 9 birds in each cage. How many cages are there? So it sounds like they're dividing the birds and putting 9 in each cage. 9, 9, 9, 9, 9 until they get to 81. So this situation sounds like the total of 81 divided by groups of 9, and that's going to equal the number of cages. Okay, another way to look at this would be 9 groups of the cages, right? Or 9, well actually, excuse me, it would be the cages that we don't know, but there's 9 in each cage, right? 9 birds in each cage, and that equals 81. So you can solve this many ways. You can do an array. I am going to do an equal shares drawing because I think that's easier. So I'm going to start with my 81, 9, 18, 27, 36, 45, 54, 63. Oops. 63, 72, 81. Yes? 3, 6, and 9. So now I know there's going to be 9 cages. Okay? So the 81 divided by 9 birds in every cage is going to give me my number of cages, and that equals 9 cages. And I'm just going to write that out because I don't want it to get confused with this 9. So I'm going to circle that. That's our answer there. I'm going to make sure I counted 3. Yes, 9. Perfect. Okay, next one. Enrique has 56 mini race cars. He puts the same number of cars on 7 shelves in his room. How many are on each shelf? Well, we know a total. He has the total of 56. And he puts the same number on 7 shelves. So he takes his 56 and he divides them onto the 7 shelves, and that's going to equal the number of cars on each shelf. So another way to write that would be there are 7 shelves, right? And each one's going to have the same number of cars, 7 groups of something, we don't know, and that equals 56. So you can do an array for this. So there are 7 shelves, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we know the total is 56, and you know I always like to make my fast array look like that to begin with. So if we are counting by sevens, we're going to go this way to see how many he puts on each shelf. 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, 49, 56. There we go. So I'm going to number these. There we go. 8 on each shelf. So if we were writing our solution equation, 56 mini cars divided by the 7 shelves, that gives me the number of cars on each shelf. And the number of cars on each shelf is 8. You can see it right there. Alrighty, that's it for this page. Now we look at the back side, and it's going to be more of the same. 48 students from 8 schools. So I'm seeing a total of the number of kids. I'm seeing that there are 8 schools. The school sends the same number of students. So there are 48 students divided by the 8 schools, and that's going to equal the number of students from each school. Okay, there are 8 schools with the same number of students. 8 groups of however many students that is 48 kids. How many kids are competing from each school? I'm going to do an equal shares drawing here, and I'm going to count by 8s. 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48. 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48. Yes. How many 8s is that? 6. So there are going to be 6 kids from each of those 8 schools. So if I took the 48 students all together and I divided it by the 8 schools, that gives me the total number of students from each school. And the students is 8. Okay. Next problem, an array. So on this one, we are going to be drawing an array. An array on one wall in an art gallery holds 27 photos. So that's a lot of photographs for one wall. Oh, and they put them in rows. That makes sense because it's an array. Each row has 9 photos. How many rows are there? Okay, so there were 27 photographs, and they divided them into rows with 9 photos on each row, and we don't know how many rows there are. That's our missing variable. So another way to do this would be to say the number of rows with 9 in each is 27. So if we have 9 in each row, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm going to do a fast array. I know it's going to be 27. So I'm going to count by 9s until I get to 27, and then I'll find out how many rows. 9, 18, 27. There we go, boys and girls. What do you see there? How many rows are there? There are 3. So if I took my 27 photos and I put 9 in each row, there are going to be 3 rows. So the rows, that equals 3. Okay? All right. Jody bought 4 bags of lemons to make some lemonade. The same number of lemons was in each bag. Ooh, sounds like a missing number. There was a total of 36 lemons. How many lemons were in each bag? So there were 4 bags and there was a certain number of lemons in each bag. So if I'm thinking of the 4 bags, and I'm thinking that there's the same number of lemons in each bag, and that this, and this, they all equal 36. So 36 divided by the 4 bags is going to give us our lemons. Another way to think about this would be to say 4 groups of the lemons is 36. What number times 4 is 36? I'm going to do an equal shares drawing. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 4, 5, 6. There we go. There should be 3, 6, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9. Yep. Okay. So if there were 4 bags with the same number of lemons in each bag, and that equals the total of 36 lemons, we know that the lemons equals 9. This is really, I think, the situation more than this one up here, because it says there were 4 bags, there's my 4, of some lemons, same number, and that was the total of 36. This is the actual more appropriate situation equation, although either of these works, boys and girls. They both get you the same answer. It's whatever works best for you, really. Okay, a hardware store sells a number of furnace filters. There are 6 filters in each box. So sounds to me like we don't know the number of filters that they sold, but there's 6 in each box. And if they sold a total of 54 furnace filters, how many boxes is that? So they sold a number of boxes. So there's some boxes, and each box has 6. So it's groups of 6. So this number with groups of 6, each box had 6, and altogether that's 54 filters. So another way you could look at this would be to take 54 and divide it by the 6 to get how many boxes there were.